Welcome to Influential Sports, where passion meets precision. I'm your host, Ed, diving deep into the plays, players, and stories shaping the game. And today I'm going to be doing a comparison between WWE NXT Heatwave and AEW slash New Japan Pro's Forbidden Door. Since both events took place on the same day, obviously came on different times. And I'm going to start with Heatwave, since that's the one that I caught first, because I didn't catch either one of them live. So, but to get into that, I'll start with NXT Heatwave, the first match, and I'll do a breakdown for both. And then at the end, I'll talk about which show I thought was better and why. And to start with NXT Heatwave, first match, Jada Parker versus Kalani Jordan versus Lola Vice, number one contenders match to determine who would challenge Stacey Jane next for the NXT Women's Championship. I haven't been caught up with NXT the last 2 weeks, but I do know that Kalani and Lola won a tag team match where Kalani pinned Stacey Jane, but I don't know how Jada Parker got involved in this. So I'm not mad at the fact that she ended up taking the pin in this match because she shouldn't have been involved to begin with. It should have just been Kalani Jordan versus Lola Vice straight up. But this was a fun triple threat match. This was probably the best match of the night in my opinion. It was a great way to get the show started. And as well, I like that. I like the Blake Monroe match as well, but this was one of the best matches of NXT Heatwave. You had Jada Parker with the double high step early on in the match. Lola Vice using the triangle lock. She did a great job utilizing some of her submissions throughout this match with her MMA background. Like I said, Kalani Jordan has some cool spots. Then it came down to Jada hit hypnotic to Kalani Jordan. Then Lola Vice rolled her up, and she got then Lola Vice, she pinned her 1, 2, 3, and the way that I enjoyed the actually was fine with the roll up here because Lola Vice moved out the way when Jada went for the hypnotic, so her rolling her up to get the win. I'm fine with that. Like I said, Jada Parker shouldn't have been in the match to begin with, but it was a fun triple threat match. Great way to get the show started. And then you had Hank and Tank versus Dark State for the NXT tag titles. And this is the decline of the referees throughout the show. The referees did a terrible job at Heatwave, and there were even some bad decisions at Forbidden Door as well. But in this match specifically, Dark State, them playing mind games early on to where Hank and Tank don't know which two they're going to face. That was cool. But them constantly interfering throughout the match and the referee not doing anything about it didn't make sense to me. And I don't even like Hank and Tank, but they got robbed. They shouldn't have. The amount of stuff they had to deal with Saquon Sugars and Jay Cutler getting involved. Dion Lytics, he did his thing. He looked good in the ring. But Dark State won, so congrats. But that was bad. It was a mediocre match, and the referees did a terrible job not ejecting the Sugars or Cutler. And I'm just glad the Cutler was in the match. But Dark State, they waited too late to pull the trigger. I think it's too late to do this. They want a tag goal. Hopefully they do the free bird rule where all four of them get to defend it at different times, but I think they waited too late to pull the trigger on them becoming tag champions. The next triple threat match of the night, it was the TNA Knockouts Championship on the line between Ash by Elegance, Masha Slimovich, the former champion, and JC Jane, the current champion at the time. And the TNA the Knockouts, they wanted JC Jane early, eliminating her from the equation. What I found interesting was you had Fatal Influence out there, you had the Elegance brand out there, but there was nobody by Masha's side, so she was out there going it alone. Which there was a recipe for disaster regardless of how it worked out. And this was a super fun triple threat match, but Jasmine Nixie getting ejected because she punched Ash. He punched Ash by Elegance. Ash sold it well. But the fact that she got ejected in the triple threat match is crazy. And Fallon Henley got ejected as well, despite not doing nothing. But when the Elegance brand pulled JC Jane out the ring to keep Ash Horse alive, they didn't get ejected for doing that. And Ash was able to capitalize and pin Masha to become new TNA Knockouts champion. Super fun match, but the refs made some questionable decisions that made me not like it as much. I'm happy that Ash by Elegance got the title, so now the entire Elegance brand run the TNA Women's Division as they had a World Championship and the tag team titles. So that's great to see. But the way the refs did this, I don't know if the fix was in or what, but that was super weird. So, like the Elegance brand should have been ejected just like Fatal Influence was. Say both Heather and Emma Elegance both grabbed Jason to go out the ring while only Jasmine Nix hit Ash, and that got her and Fallon rejected. So that was interesting, but Ash finally being a world champion, I do like that decision. And then following that, you have Blake Monroe taking on Jordan Grace. Blake Monroe tried her best to run away, but she wasn't able to. Jordan Grace was apparently too fast for her. But and then Grace, she delivered like an over the head suplex, which was very impressive. Um, but yeah, this was second best. Yeah, this is probably the second best match. And this is in the top three. The main event is up there too, aside from the questionable decision at the end. But Blake Monroe, Jordan Grace, this was a fun match. I enjoyed it. There was some cool spots. The knee to Jordan Grace, and then that only being a 2 count. The headbutt, a knee then suplex combo from Blake Monroe only getting a 2 count was surprising. Obviously, she wasn't gonna win, but I enjoyed that spot. But Monroe, she exposed the turnbuckle, I'm pretty sure. Then she hit a DDT, and that's how she ended up getting the win. Super fun match. I enjoyed it. Some people are confused as to why Jordan Grace lost here. It wouldn't have made sense for Blake Monroe to lose her first singles match on the PLE. This was the perfect decision. Jordan Grace was screwed over once they sent her to NXT instead of going straight to SmackDown. So it's not too much more she can do. She'll probably win a title at some point. Maybe Blake Monroe wins it before Jordan Grace because she did get the win. But this might not be over. I don't know. I mean, you got two wrestlers from two different promotions that start in two different promotions collide with each other. And I think both of them will get the NXT Women's Championship, but they're waiting. It might be too soon. I mean, it might be too late to do it for Jordan Grace. So I don't know what they're going to do with that. But Blake Monroe got the win. She should have. Ethan Page and Chelsea Green, Team Canada versus Tavion Heights and Tyra May Steele, Team USA. The Secret Herbert got involved multiple times, clearly in front of the referee's face, and he said nothing about it. Now, I'm glad the Team Canada won. I think Chelsea got the pin. Yeah, Chelsea got the pin after hitting the unprettier on Tyra May Steele, which I don't know why you got the Secret Herbert in NXT and on the main roster. Just keep it on the main roster going after the tag belts. Maybe Chelsea Green go back to the world title at some point. She did get the pin here, which is good for her. But I feel like her and Ethan Page should have won without all the interference. I think it needs to be more spots where the men can hit the women instead of the women always being able to hit the men. I know some people might not like that because of the generation we live in, but it's kind of annoying. But yeah, the Secret Herberts getting involved as much as they did, I didn't like, especially the fact that the referee saw it and did nothing about it. That just didn't make any sense to me. I didn't understand the purpose of doing that. But Team Canada got the win as they should have. Ethan Page, North American champion. No Portis group breaking up is probably the worst thing that could have happened because I don't know where anyone goes from here. So we see where that leads to. Then you had the main event for the NXT Championship between Obafemi and Javon Evans. This match was insane. From start to almost the finish, it was a very entertaining match. I enjoyed it. I can't say the finish because the finish was stupid, which I'll get into. But Javon Evans using his agility, it really worked well in this match. Even hit a few cutters on Obafemi. It took a few to get him down. Obviously, Javon weighing 75 pounds. It's going to be hard to take down Obafemi. But they made this very believable. It was a great match. It was very entertaining. Then the ending after Javon pinned Obafemi after the ref bump. Javon has Obafemi down. The ref counts to 3. Is about to ring the bell, but the other ref stops him because because Oba's foot is under the rope. My problem with this is we've seen plenty of other matches where a wrestler's foot has been under the rope this year, and no other ref has came out and said anything. Obviously, it's a championship match with high stakes, so obviously it's going to be a ref bump. Not every match has ref bumps. But if you're going to do that because Oba's foot was under the rope, enforce that and on every show, because there's been plenty of other times where wrestlers' foot was under the rope and it wasn't seen till after the match and nothing was done about it. As you can do clear as day, you can see their foot is under the rope, but nothing can be done about it because the match is over. Javon Evans should have won. There's nothing more for Obafemi to do. He's trying to go into a program with Ricky Saints, which, okay, what is that? How does Ricky Saints get a championship match after he just got destroyed by Jasper Troy? That doesn't make sense. He ain't even had Jasper Troy won by count, I think, and he didn't even get revenge about that. So Jasper Troy probably interfered. So I want to see how Ricky James gets another opportunity. Javon Evans has a story. He's a perfect guy to the throne over Femi at this point. And if they wait to stand and deliver, are you really telling me you don't have anything for Over to do on the main roster? You can't call him up and put him in the mid card for a little bit. You can't do that. You can't call him up and have him be a mid carder for a year, fighting for the U.S. title. But overall, I give Heatwave an 8 out of 10. I think the only thing that stopped Heatwave from being a 10 out of 10 is really the referees and Dark State winning. But the referees really, I feel like, ruined this show, and it could have been way better if it wasn't for the referees. So I give Heatwave an 8 out of 10. And then AEW / Through Japan Pro Forbidden Door. Oh, there's the other company involved as well, like CMLL. I'm pretty sure it was a British wrestler involved as well. But it was other promotions involved as well, which I like the concept of Forbidden Door, because you have Zack Sabre Jr. defending his title, and then you got the Ops defending their titles. So it's two different promotions defending against each other. Then you had a fatal four-way of 4 women from 4 different promotions. So I think it's a cool concept, getting some of these smaller, or not smaller, but less well-known promotions involved in a huge pay-per-view event for everybody to see. I'm pretty sure they had 18K in attendance that were in the O2 Arena. So, but the pre-show was, every match during the pre-show was good. I'm not going to do a full breakdown for every match, but the match with Crew and Josh Alexander, Hector Cero versus Paragon, Del Desperado, and Yuya Uemura. That was a cool match. I enjoyed it. And then I'm not going to do much coverage until I get to the main show, but that was a good match. Pretty sure Paragon got the win, and then there was some post-match stuff with Tomohiro Ishii having to make the save. But not Kyle O'Reilly, it's Roderick Strong. He don't really trust anybody, which I find interesting. So I don't know if that's going to lead to something. But Gates of Agony and Ricochet, their match versus Michael Cole, who's a British wrestler, and Just Speed, that was a good match. Glad that the Gates of Agony and Ricochet got the win. Ricochet still feels important in AEW, especially now that he has a faction. So, and I'm gonna get more into Ricochet later and what him and the Gates of Agony did. Megan Bayne and the Triangle of Madness defeated Willow, Queen Aminata, Harley Cameron, and Chris Statlander. Entertaining for him for, but I don't know if this is over, especially with Jamie Hayter's return with Queen Aminata and Tekla continuing to brawl. I made it short about it. I do think AEW will benefit greatly from having women's tag titles. So, but this was a fun match. And then the last pre-show match was the Ops defending their trios titles versus the Bullet Club War Dogs. This was a decent match. I see why it was on the pre-show. It wasn't bad, but I don't think it could have. Well, it could have came with the probably one match on the main show, but it was an entertaining match. The Ops got to win, retain their titles. Basic, but it was good. Then to get the show started, to get the main show started, Adam Copeland and Christian Cage took on Killswitch and Kip Sabian. And the way that Kip Sabian was just disrespecting Killswitch throughout the match really threw me off. Because who the hell is Kip Sabian to be talking to anybody like this? So then you had Adam Copeland. He was not Adam Copeland. Christian Cage was afraid of Killswitch. He did not want to get in the ring with him. Which that's very good storytelling, especially with how we treated him before he left with his injury, whatever he was out with. But this was a good tag team match. And then Copeland and Cage got the win. They don't go on to battle FTR. And then after that, who knows what's going to happen. This was a fun tag team match, a good way to get the show started, and a good win for them. Christian asked for a handshake, Cope wanted the hug. The handshake was cool. Christian wasn't messing with the hug, but maybe we'll get that in the future, maybe down the line with the FTR feud, which is supposed to be happening soon, as Chris, because Copeland said that he was going to help Christian take care of Nick Wayne and his problem, which Nick Wayne is out with a foot injury, so did that. And then Christian said in return he'd help him with his FTR problem. So we're going to see what happens after that. They'll probably get the win there, and maybe that's when the hug will finally happen. This was a good match. Obviously, Mother Wayne got involved. Didn't really matter. Kip Sabian tagged in. He tagged in Killswitch when Killswitch had good momentum in the match, which really threw me off. Then Kip Sabian was begging for a tag, so Killswitch chopped his shit out of him to get him into the match. So if Kill Switch came back just to do this again, that nigga is a jobber. Simple as that. The next match you had Cal Fletcher defend his TNT title versus Hiromu Takahashi. This was a good match, entertaining. I like how Cal Fletcher is a fighting champion as a heel, not scared to take on anybody. Already defeated Dustin Rhodes to win it, defeated Tomohiro Ishii to retain, then took on Takahashi, who's one of the best in New Japan at the moment. So the Snapdragon suplex that he did was very impressive from Cal Fletcher. Didn't get too many notes in this match. The power bomb, Takashi did a power bomb to Cal Fletcher on the outside, um, and he did like a brainbuster type of move. But Cal Fletcher ended up retaining the title. But it was an entertaining match. Didn't get too many notes from it, but I did enjoy that match. Then after that, you had the match that I was really looking forward to, which was the women's fatal four-way for the TBS Championship. You had Alex Windsor of AEW, one of the newcomers who's been there for about a month now. I'm pretty sure that's Will Ospreay's fiance or wife. And then you had Bozilla from Stardom, who was really impressive. Had uh, I forgot how to say the woman's name. Start with a P. Persephone or something like that from CMLL. And then you have Mercedes, the TBS champion, in a really fun fatal four-way match. It took a lot to get Bozilla down. That was really the story of this match, being able to get Bozilla down. They weren't able to do that much. It took all three of them to really work together, really unexpectedly to take Bozilla down. But even that really didn't work. It really came down to Bozilla being overconfident and doing a little bit too much, doing too much content. Because it did take Bozilla down. It took a lot. Persefina, however you say her name, she had a solid showing. She has some cool spots in the match. Alex Winter and Mercedes, they did their thing, of course. Alex Winter's been very impressive since arriving to AEW, so we'll give her credit for that. Bozilla did a double moonsault. Mercedes did a Hurricane Rana, and then after that, that's when Bozilla started taunting a little bit too much. But Mercedes pinned Persefina to retain the TBS Championship. This was a good match. This was the match I was most looking forward to, and I'm glad I was able to see this match. Very fun, very entertaining. Next, you had Nigel McGuinness taking on Zack Sabre Jr. for the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship with Daniel Garcia and Nigel McGuinness's corner. They should have did. They did tease Daniel Garcia and Zack Sabre Jr. because they did get involved a little bit more than I expect for a quote unquote babyface. Hopefully, he's entering an era of a new character because he needs a new character like Nancy and stuff that's really old and repetitive at this point. So maybe he's transitioning into a new character. I would love to see it. Maybe him and Nigel have a feud. Maybe Daniel Garcia finally turns heel. But Zack Sabre Jr., he retained the title. It was a solid match. I ain't have any problems with it. I just wish Daniel Garcia would have got this spotlight to shine instead of potentially waiting to do it. Because I feel like Nigel versus Zack Sabre Jr. is something you can wait for, especially when you had a retirement tour in 2011 while you still wrestling. It's called a retirement tour for a reason. But Daniel Garcia, I think, should have been in this. I think it would have been great for his career. Even though he would have lost, I think it really would have put him on the map with Zack Sabre Jr. being one of the few top draws in New Japan as New Japan is struggling. Especially this decade, they'll struggle heavily, which is why they've benefited from the partnership with AEW. Obviously, they'll fall some of their guys to AEW, which plays a part in that. But them partnering with them has been a good sign, in my opinion. Triple threat tag team match for the AEW tag team titles. FTR, Brodito, the Hurt Syndicate. Brodito won. Mediocre match. Oh, but the Gates of Agony and Ricochet, they got involved. So I don't know what Ricochet potentially has two motives here. One, it could be because the Hurt Syndicate rejected him after he was trying to get in with him. And then, or two, it could be to help MJF. They had a little partnership going on last week, him and the Gates of Agony, to work against Mark Briscoe and Heyman. And maybe that's even to work against Mark Briscoe, not Heyman. But maybe it's a bit of both. Maybe Ricochet wants, since he cool with MJF, they both want to get at the Hurt Syndicate for different reasons. So I think it's cool. Maybe they do like a 4-on-4. MVP is gonna have to get involved. They're gonna have to step in the ring. But with Cedric being in TNA, I don't know who that fourth member could be because Wardlow joined the Don Callis family and Powerhouse House is part of Ops. So I don't know who else would really fit into the Hurt Syndicate. But yeah, I like what Ricochet and Jason Agnew did, but this was a mediocre match. Yeah, I didn't like this decision. The next match was Swerve versus Okada for the Unified Championship. It was a good match. I wasn't even mad at the decision. Apparently, if Swerve was hurt, then I get why Okada won the match. So, heel up Swerve. This was a good match, though. It was entertaining. It wasn't, yeah, Don Callis didn't get involved. It was a very clean match from Okada. He's, yeah, Okada retained, which I'm not, I wish Swerve would have won, but if he's injured, then it's completely understandable to just have Okada keep the belt. Now, Swerve did go for the house call a hell of times, and Okada kept reversing it. See, I don't know how deep the history goes with them two, but that just felt kind of odd. Because I don't think it is much history. Like, I know they've been in the ring before, but I think this is their first one-on-one match. So to see him counter or just be ready for the house call that much was very surprising, and I think that defeated the purpose of it. But then after the match, you had Prince Nana had to come out there and save him. But then that's when Wardlow would come out there and attack and join the Don Callis family. Just keep adding people, which I think is going to hurt this faction at some point. Sooner rather than later, it's going to hurt the faction, having all these people in partnerships. So, yeah. Then you had the Women's World Championship match between Athena and Toni Storm. I said this when Athena announced on Collision that she was cashing in her contract 3 weeks in advance. There's no reason. If you're a calculated heel and you can cash in the contract anytime, why would you do it? Why would you let your opponent know? And why would you let Toni Storm know that you're cashing in? That was just bad booking, in my opinion. It was really silly to do something like this. And Toni Storm ended up retaining the title, which I hated that decision because I felt like Athena should have won. If Mercedes can do it, I felt like Athena was the perfect option at the casino valley. And this was a really good match. But to end, me and Shirakawa interfering towards the end, well, not interfering, but eliminating Billy Starks from the situation, it's like, okay, so we're just going to get a part three, I think, of Billy Starks and Athena, which that's cool, but that's more of a Ring of Honor feud, and you can still build that without having that be the reason why Athena loses. And then Toni Storm, after getting planted, she just instantly recovered, and she hit, I don't know, it was a good match, but Athena should have won this. I think it was a good match for all decision. And then you had MJF versus Hangman without the contract being in line, which was very strategic by MJF. Now, Tony Khan made this dumb rule that you got to let your opponent know a week in advance that you're cashing in. That's stupid, but it is what it is. I don't want to speak about it. But this was a great match. I really enjoyed this, but the ending was stupid because MJF had Hangman pinned, and the ref didn't, another ref, well, different show, different company, but the ref counted 1, 2, 3. When the ref woke up, because then he fell back down, but he counted to 3. MJF should have won. But when the ref counted, he went back down. Then he got up after a few, about 30 seconds of being down, and then he sees Hangman's foot on the rope. My problem is the ref can't confirm that his foot was on the rope the whole time. It could have been a 3 count because obviously he didn't see it, and obviously we know as viewers watching his foot was on the rope by the 3 count. But the ref can't determine that because the ref's view was obstructed. So how can he tell that easily that his foot was on the rope the entire time? That's unrealistic. He can't confirm that his foot was on the rope the whole time unless he goes back to see video footage of it, which he didn't. That's my problem with it. And Hangman ended up retaining, which he wasn't going to lose just early. MJF keeps the contract, but it was another way MJF could have lost. I felt like this was just silly. He had the main event, the White Cell Steel cage match between the Death Riders, Young Bucks, and Gabe Kidd versus the Golden Lovers, Will Ospreay, Hiroshi Tanahashi, and Darby Allin. Darby Allin got a fork to the ear. Yeah, Darby Allin died a few times in this match. Yeah, Darby Allin, he went through it. Darby Allin took some crazy ass spots. Then I'm pretty sure Will Ospreay is actually injured because he suffered a post-match attack after the match. So I'm pretty sure that's going to leave him out of action for a while. So because he did say he's getting surgery. So that was just a creative way to write him off TV. So I'm not mad with that. And I don't think they targeted his neck at all. So it was mainly just some body shots. I kind of skipped over it because I really didn't care after the match. But Yeah, it's a creative way to write him off TV for a while I go get the next surgery. But fun match. Darby did a sunset flip to Moxley. Very impressive. The Young Bucks came out to their first ever theme song, which was unexpected. The Young Bucks weren't expecting that. Pat Ospreay was bleeding like crazy. I don't. That was probably a blade job. There's no way he bled that fast in the match. Gabe Kidd didn't really do too much and towards the end until him and Darby both went off the steel cage into through 4 tables that were set up on the outside. So yeah, it took a while, but Gabe Kidd finally got his spot in. The Golden Lovers and the Young Bucks had a standoff. So, but Team Tanahashi ended up getting the win, and I'm pretty sure Tanahashi got the pin. And that's when the post-match attack happened to Will Ospreay. But Forbidden Door, I will give it 8.5 out of 10. I think Forbidden Door was the better pay-per-view, but it wasn't by a wide margin. Heatwave was an 8 out of 10. And I think the Heatwave, I give it an 8 out of 10 because the match quality for every match was very good except for the Dark State match. The only reason, well, even the tag match with the mixed tag match where Canada versus the USA was kind of fun. But the reason why I give it an 8 is because there's 4 different matches out of 6 where the refs made some terrible decisions. Dark State match. Dark State doesn't get ejected from ringside. That's idiotic. The TNA Knockouts Championship match. The Elegance branch today got the same treatment as Fatal Influence. Secret Herbert's not getting ejected despite clearly getting involved in the match. And then the 2 refs at the end in the Oba and Juban match, despite that rule not being enforced on a consistent basis. That's why I give NXT Heatwave an 8 out of 10 because the match quality was very good. But those decisions by the referees really threw me off and didn't make any sense to me. But aside from that, it was a good pay-per-view. It was a great pay-per-view, actually. I enjoyed it. And then as far as Forbidden Door, I give it 8.5 out of 10. Really good pre-show. AEW usually delivers on their free shows. But I didn't have a problem with any match on Forbidden Door until it got to the 9th match of the night. So it took for there to be 9 matches for me to say, oh, I don't like this match. And it was really just 3 decisions that really messed it up. It was that match, and out of 13 matches, it was only 10 of them. 10 of them were good matches in my opinion. Even the ones that wasn't like the best, you probably won't say it's like match of the night or stuff like that. It was really only 3 matches that had. Well, it was only 1 match I didn't enjoy on Forbidden Door, and the other 2 just had bad decisions. I feel like. So that's what it came down to. Like the other matches, they had Forbidden Door, despite having more matches, had less bad decisions, which was the way the MJF match ended, because it was a really good match, and Tony Storm retained it. The only bad match on Forbidden Door was the Triple Threat Tag Team match, and despite the fact that it was a bad match in my opinion, it still had a good story with the Gates of Agony and Ricochet being the ones to cost the Hurt Syndicate and eliminating them from the equation. So I take Forbidden Door was slightly better, and I give Forbidden Door 8.5 out of 10. Give Heatwave an 8 out of 10. But both pay-per-views were great. I enjoyed both of them. Both had matches that you could go back and rewatch. And then that Mercedes Fatal 4-Way was really good. The Lifestyle Steel Cage match was entertaining. The Knockouts Championship match, just for a moment, despite the decision, the moment of Ash winning is so special because her winning in WWE after being released by them and winning the title for another company is so special. The Blake Monroe match, that was really good. Her first singles PLE match, I'm pretty sure, because her last PLE match was a tag match. So yeah, it was a great weekend of wrestling. Both shows were really good. If you say Heatwave is better, then I completely understand. But I think you can make an argument for one or the other. But I really enjoyed both pay-per-views. Leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel. Comment what y'all thought about these events. Share for others to see. And one more thing, NXT continues to prove why there's an A show of WWE.